Hello again, third year biologists. It's Mr. Kinnear with another video lesson for you today. Today we're going to talk about adaptation. So today's plan is to develop your knowledge and understanding of how organisms are adapted for survival in various conditions. So you're going to be able to give specific examples of adaptations in animals and plants. You're going to think about how the adaptations help survival. You're going to use your knowledge to understand why plants and animals are suited to their specific environments. So here's what's expected of you today. You're going to write down the definitions of the words habitat and adaptation. Also going to write down some notes on the adaptations of the four organisms that I'm going to provide you just now. And you're then going to complete a PowerPoint presentation on an animal or plant of your choosing. So just basically where it lives, what conditions it lives in, and what physical and behavioural adaptations it has to survive. And that's only going to be about 2 or 3 slides long at the most. So we're going to start with defining these terms. You'll have heard these terms before. So can you think what they mean? So even if you just pause for a second, habitat and adaptation, what do they mean? So the first definition we're going to look at is habitat. Hopefully you should all be thinking it is where an organism lives. Now that's perfectly fine. I'm going to give you a bit more detail there. So it's the natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or other organism. So as I said, essentially where an organism lives. The second one, I've kind of touched upon that in the last couple of slides in terms of a definition, but it's the process of a change by which an organism or a species becomes better suited to its environment. So a variety of species across the world are suited and well suited to where they are. And we're going to look at a few individual examples of that in the coming slides. And one of the big problems we have for the animals and plants that live on our planet just now is that humans are making a massive change to the conditions of the environment. So things like climate change and habitat destruction are happening very, very quickly. And adaptation has happened over hundreds, thousands, even millions of years. So animals, plants can't adapt to the changes that we're making on this planet quick enough. They're very well suited to where they are now, but can't make that change incredibly quickly. Humans are adapted to a variety of different conditions around the world because of the technology we have. Even just clothes, protection, huts, all those kind of things, and even further advanced we have, allows us to adapt to the different conditions. Animals and plants, etc., don't have that capability. So when we change the environment for them very, very quickly, then unfortunately it does mean their death, destruction, or extinction. So we'll look at adaptations in some existing organisms. So emperor penguin, chimpanzee, camel, and cactus. You may be aware of some of the adaptations that these organisms have and makes them more suitable for survival in their respective habitats. So I'll go through those on an individual basis. So the first of examples is emperor penguins. They live in the Antarctic, so incredibly cold conditions, windy, etc. They have insulation, so they can protect themselves from the cold as an individual. They also have special fats on their feet to prevent them from freezing, and strong claws for gripping the ice to help them move around. So they have a few more adaptations. If you're interested in having a look at it, feel free to go and Google emperor penguins. There's a few more adaptations that they have in terms of physical adaptations, but they also have some behavioural adaptations. So as you can see from this picture, they huddle together to protect each other from the cold. So the wind and the sleet and the snow that's coming in, they huddle together to protect themselves from it. And the good thing is they're incredibly social animals. It's not just a case of one happy penguin in the middle surrounded by lots of cold penguins. The huddle actually moves, allowing penguins to move from the outside to the inside, and they all get their share of that heat and protection from the conditions. Chimpanzees are some of our closest relatives. They are incredibly strong animals. So they have strong, flexible limbs. They have opposable big toes, which is ideal for climbing, so they can escape from predators and allow them to reach food. They can also do a variety of different tasks with their feet as well as their hands, like peeling fruit. They can do just as easily with their feet as they could with their hands. They also have sharp canine teeth, so that's used for attempting to scare predators and prey, and useful for biting. And they do also live in incredible social groups, which help in them hunting and defence of their family groups. That social side of chimpanzees is something we look at in higher biology. They're an incredible organism, incredible social groups, and the way that they actually create those social groups is incredibly complex, almost as complex as the social groups within humans. Camels is something obviously you will have heard of before regarding adaptations. One thing you might have heard is that they store water in their hump, but it's actually fat that stores in there, and that allows them to survive long periods without food or water. They have long, thick eyelashes to protect the camel from the sun and blowing sand. They have a thick fur coat, so it provides warmth in the cold nights as well as keeping heat out during the day. And again, big, broad, flat feet, which prevents the camel sinking into the sand. So it allows it to walk more efficiently, loses less energy when it does that. And the last one up is a plant, a cactus. This is something that you'll probably be familiar with. It obviously lives in hot, dry, desert-like conditions. It has thick, waxy skin to reduce the loss of water and reflect the heat. Large, fleshy stems to store that water, and the spikes that it has are designed to stop animals that are coming to bite it, eat into it, and steal its water reserves. It also has deep roots to tap groundwater or long, shallow roots which help spread across a wide area. So all those adaptations of these four organisms are there to help them survive in the conditions where they live. So they have happened over thousands, if not millions of years to make them really well adapted to where they live. So you now have notes in your jotter about four organisms and how they're adapted to their environment. So what we'd like you to do now is create a PowerPoint, thinking about just choosing an organism, whichever one you want to go for, not the ones we've just discussed, unfortunately, so a brand new one. Draw a diagram of the organism or copy one from internet. I want you to state its habitat and the conditions, not just where it lives, but also what is it like there, what are the conditions that it has to live in, and what it eats or what eats it. So think about, again, the adaptations that it has might be based on what it has to eat or what it has to get away from. So think about how it's adapted to survive in its habitat, given reasons why these adaptations are beneficial for the organism's survival. So in terms of the expectations of the PowerPoint, please name it appropriately. So I want you to put your name, the organism, and the adaptations. So for example, Joe blogs, cheetah, adaptations. So first name, second name, organism, adaptations. That's what it should look like. Share the PowerPoint with myself and Mr. Lindsay, so the both of us. And it should be 3 slides maximum. If you're going to write this out or draw it as a poster kind of thing, then kind of 3 bits of paper, 3 bits of A4 paper is the maximum you should be doing. So I'm happy for you to share it on your virtual jotter if you don't want to do the PowerPoint version. Again, if you want to draw a picture, I am more than happy for you to draw pictures. If you're not confident with that or not happy to do that, then again, if you want to copy a picture onto your PowerPoint from the internet, that is equally fine. And again, you can talk about the physical and or behavioural adaptations. So for emperor penguins and chimpanzees earlier, I talked about their behavioural adaptations that help them survive. If you know of any for the organism you've chosen, again, I'm happy to accept them. And what we'll do is we'll try and collate them together, so you should end up with a massive amount of animals and plants with adaptations. So it really helps you understand how adaptations are happening all across the animal and plant kingdoms. So that's us for today. Hopefully that's been useful to you. Have any problems, questions, queries, get in touch and we'll happily help you. But for now, it's bye-bye.